Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan radio era baru. Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.
And now you're listening Green Radio Line with me, Lipia Collins in Bumi Kita program. So today we have the exclusive interview with Triana. Her name is Triana Kurnia Wardani. So we will speak about the environmental issues or also the women issues. So she's speaking as a General Secretary of SERUNI. This is organizations of mass organizations. And we would like to say thank you so much for your time. It's such a honor that I can talk to you as a person so you can share your story and also your experience about the woman and the struggle of the woman. Thank you so much, Katriana. Okay, maybe the first thing I really want to ask, like, how are you there?
I'm doing great here in the countryside and continue to fight amid the pandemic.
Cool. So our interview today will be aired in Bumi Kita program in Green Radio Line through our website radio in www.greenradioline.id, and also you can watch in our YouTube channel Green Radio Line this Saturday. So maybe the first things we really want to know more about your introductions, your name, your current living, and your activity right now.
Yeah. My name is Triana Kurnia Wardani. I'm a Secretary General of SERUNI. SERUNI is a national women's organization in Indonesia. We organize women from all of the sector, but most of our members are women workers, peasant women, indigenous women, student women, and fisher folk. Currently, I live in the Jambi from the countryside since the coronavirus hit Indonesia. So I moved from Jakarta to here in Jambi.
Okay, so I'm really curious, like, what your activity or the activity of the organizations today in the pandemic?
Yeah, we here to build kind of community resilience during the pandemic. So we built it with women's community here in the countryside to survive during the pandemic. Yeah.
Cool. So maybe a lot of people, all people who watching right now or hear our interview, would really like to know what is SERUNI and why and when SERUNI was established or built.
For the first time, we hold some like women's conference in 2006, but we successfully holding our first congress at 2017. So for the first time, we holding the women's conference is still like six province, women organization from six province in Indonesia. And then in 2017, we already organized like 15 provinces in Indonesia. And now we organize 17 provinces from all of Indonesia, across Indonesia. SERUNI itself is a organization who saw that after 1965, when women's organization being dominated by the government organization and also the NGOs, some kind like that. And I don't know what the name in English, but you can see like Dharma Wanita, PKK, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that just that the organization what women's know until 1998. And then after 1998, women's progressive women trying to build again the progressive organization. And then 2006, Seruni holding women's conference, and then holding the first congress in 2017. That's a bit of history of Seruni.
So what is the best reasons why SERUNI is established or SERUNI was built?
I think it's because of the zero.
Mm-hmm.
of women's struggle
Okay.
since 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we need our place to gather and then to struggle and then to fight against the exploitation, the oppression of the current administration, because we know that the organization for now dominate by the feminist organization who
Yep.
cannot reach also the women from the countryside. uh, the reality is 65% of Indonesian population is peasants, and
Uh-huh.
most of them are women. So that's why Seruni also focused to organize peasant women in the countryside, and also the uh, women worker in the urban.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. That's such a great missions too. And you already mentioned about there is a 17, if I'm not mistaken, 17 regions that's already in several places
Yep.
in Indonesia. Yeah. So like how many members that if you can calculate the members of Seruni all over the Indonesia. Mm-hmm.
It's still less
Okay.
for now, but
Mm-hmm.
it's around 2,000 members across
That's not a last, by the way.
Indonesia, across 17 provinces. But
Uh,
for the women, I think it's a lot
mm-hmm.
because we know each other that we really difficult to organize women, include them, involve the women into the movement, into the
Mm-hmm.
organization. So I think 2,000 is still less between among the population, but I think it's also a good goal
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
far.
Yeah, definitely. So, Asroni is the organizations that concerns about women issues. So, what is the relations, if we're talking about our main topic today, between
Mm,
the women issues and also the environmental issues? What is the link of each other's? Mm-hmm.
mm. Our vision, yeah, our vision exactly is for gender equality and also women's control over the land and natural resources. So that's why we also concerned about the environmental issues, because we know that the environmental defender, mostly the forefront environmental defender, are the women.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are at the forefront area, and then most of them are defend their community, their land, because of the corporate greed. So that's why we also concern on the environmental issue, because women are at the forefront struggle
Mm-hmm.
against the uh, monopoly of the land by the landlord, by the corporate greed. Yeah, that's why we Seroni also concerned about these issues.
Uh-huh. When you say like a woman are in the front floor of the
Forefront.
yes of the movement in the resilience of the environmental issues, can you give the examples of what the women are doing in the countrysides to tackle the environmental issues in their regions?
Exactly, women is a mother earth,
Yeah.
right? What we're doing now in the countryside, like we're building the community resilient by building the implement the agroecology farming. So most of them are women. So since the communal phase, yeah, at the first time the society built, women also take parts uh, at the production. So that's why we also believe that women are the mother earth.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's what we doing right now in the countryside. So we build the community resilient with the women's community. We building the agroecology farming,
Mm-hmm.
so we can survive amid the pandemic, and we don't like depend uh, the aid from the government that is not enough for the family needs.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So is that the problem of environmental issues and also the women in Indonesia in several other countries are different or just the same? You already the things that I know, you already attended in the several internationals meeting and committee, and then you can share like the several stories or even is that difference the struggle of women here and also in a several country?
I can say that mostly the same. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when I met with the women from the Latin America, from the Philippines, and from other like southern part of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call that? Like southern
Southeast.
country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, southern country.
Yep.
Most of them are exploited
Mm-hmm.
by the capitalist monopoly country. So they do the same like us here in Indonesia. So what they do like uh, the tribal in the Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and then what they come from South Asia and then from Africa, they do the same like us because most of them are exploited by the capitalist monopoly country.
Mm-hmm. 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 Is that a link or a relations between the human exploitations or woman exploitations and also the current climate change that happenings right now in the world crisis?
Of course, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because our forests are being destroyed by the company owned by capitalist monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Like here in Indonesia, like 42 percent of the land owned by the plantation and mining
Yep.
company. Yeah, that's why we can produce our food because most of them are monopolized by the corporate. So they change our forest into the plantation, into the mining. So that's why our earth suffering
Mm-hmm.
and destroy. So that's why the climate climate change also raise.
Mhm. And also, I something pop up in my mind. So there is a company. So company is like giving the things that demands by the people, by mostly the people. So is it wrong to have a company or a plantations, a big plantations? Meanwhile, they just want to produce things that demands by the people.
It's not demand by the people.
Uh huh.
Uh, so the company being built and being operation because of the greed by the minority of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So like here in Indonesia, like 1% control the 99%. So that's not uh, the people need.
Yeah.
We don't need like many clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need food, but they don't produce food. They produce shoes, they produce clothes, they produce like makeup, skincare, etc. But we don't need that much.
Yeah.
We need food, but they don't produce food. We can't produce food because the land has already monopolized by the company owned by the capitalist monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why hunger is everywhere here in Indonesia. But we rich country, but the people are suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep, I got a point. So, like, what is the things that you found as a cause of the environmental problems in Indonesia and also many country?
It's a corporate greed
Mm-hmm.
because of the monopoly of the corporate owned by capitalist monopoly.
Okay.
That's the cause.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If the people use the land, they will use it just for uh, their needs.
Yep.
But if corporate cultivate the land or control the land,
Mm-hmm.
that's for what do you call keuntungan apa sih? Their profit, their own profit.
Mm-hmm.
We yeah we cultivate the land for our daily needs.
Mm-hmm.
They control the land because of for profit orientation.
Yeah.
That's different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, like how are the women struggle in order to protect the environment itself, like from the urban to a woman. So, when we're talking about me and you, maybe you are now in the countrysides, but we are come from the urban woman, and also the woman in the countryside or the rural woman right now. What is our, like our struggle to protect the environment, or the things that we can do?
Yeah, what really we need to do is organize them ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because we know that the ruling class who exploit and oppress the people is
Mm-hmm.
very organized. So
Yeah.
that's why we also have to organize ourselves into the organizations and then fight together. There's no other way.
Cool. Yep, yep. So, like I already mentioned before, you already attend many conferences, such as in 2019, the United Nations Framework Conventions on the Climate Change, and several others international discussions related to the climate and also the environmental issues. So, what do you see about the concerns of the environmental issues and women issues as a, like the world organizations like the United Nations?
I think it's just a bullshit meeting, Every year they hold the UNFCCC meeting, but they never ever end or reach the goal.
Yeah.
Like every year, yeah.
Mhm,
Since Paris Agreement in 2015, if I'm correct, and
mhm.
then till today, they never reach the goal because what they think is the profit,
Yeah.
not of the uh, people needs.
Mhm,
So that's why it's just a bullshit meeting. I will never like attend those kind of meeting anymore.
mhm, mhm.
Yes, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, what do you found as a challenge, like the obstacles? So, lately you already mentioned like a little bit about this, but what is the challenge or obstacle that you face whenever to get the justice of the woman from the exploitations and operations, and also the climate justice itself?
The barrier system, because many of us are exploited. I mean, 65% of the population of Indonesia are peasant, and then 20% of the population are workers. They are majority. I mean, 65 and then 20. I think like 85% of them are working class, and then peasant.
Yeah.
But most of them are exploited and oppressed by the minority class.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The challenge is the system barrier. So that's why we should organize ourselves into the organization, into the movement, building a movement. For now, we built our national democratic movement from each sector just to make sure that we know our right and how we can assert those kind of rights for the people.
Yeah. So you already mentioned several things about the operations and discriminations. Like whenever we're talking about this, many people are don't even know like they are being oppressed by the system or being discriminated by the people. So what is the things that you found out whenever to make to open up the awareness of the people about this? Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat
Yeah.
the question? Sorry, it's
Whenever
chopping.
yeah, whenever we're talking about the oppression and also discriminations, like many people are think they are not being oppressed or not being discriminated by the system because they don't see it, they see just like it is, just it is, so I can do anything about that. And what you do to like change the awareness or give the awareness of the people itself?
That's also the challenge for us. The education is I mean, that's the main program that we should do to raise the awareness of the women. and
Mm-hmm.
the people's uh, at general scale. So the education
Mm-hmm.
is the important thing we should do to raise their awareness, because we know that the government, the ruling class, depend their economy, politic, and cultural rules
Mm-hmm.
to oppress people. So that's why they use kind of religion, society, and also their partner, especially for women, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just make sure that their power did not lost. So
Yeah.
the people did not resist like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
education is the most important thing.
Yep, exactly. So yesterday I also attended the ceremony a meeting about International Women's Days celebrations. So there is a one quote that said the education is the first point or the most important point, and after that they will aware of their rights and they will fight because they already know about that, and then they already aware and they will resilient on the movement itself. That's such a great things to share too.
Yeah, right.
So I come to another questions that I have today. So what are the other women outside there can do to also being part of the struggle whenever they are not in the not in the organizations, or uh, what they can do to fight to the rights of the woman, also the rights of the climate justice itself in their area.
I think the first thing you should do is see see things around you.
Mm-hmm.
See things around you. But I also encourage all of the people, not only the women, to come to the countryside, come to the rural, and see what happens when the
Sorry.
peasants are oppressed. How's the situation in the countryside? How the condition or situation of the women and the peasant in the countryside? You can see how the objective situation, and then you will learn and what you can do to help the people who oppressed by the system.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we can do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
We can do it like individually. So that's why I also say that we should organize ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because the ruling class who oppress the people are very organized. They organize among themselves, very straight,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we also have to organize to fight back, to assert our rights. So if you don't have the organization, build your own, or just join with ours,
Mm-hmm.
or
Several
it can
other.
be your place to fight and to help people uh, uh, start to struggle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So cool. So, what do you see that the futures of a woman and also the environmental movement in Indonesia and the global in the next 5 years? And did we can achieve the result of the struggle itself?
We face many challenges, especially amid the pandemic years back.
Yeah.
But I think this pandemic situation also being, what do you call that? I mean, it's also a power for
Yeah.
the people to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we see in the Europe, like every day, like one of our comrades comes from France,
Mm-hmm.
who also speak at our webinar 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like the economy, political activities in capitalist country like France
Yeah.
also stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because of the protest, but it because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But they holding a protest like every day. in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in France, in England, and everywhere in Europe. And it also happened in the USA
Mm-hmm.
and many capitalist country. So this time of pandemic is also, uh, I think it can be a power for the people to fight back. So what happened to the next 5 years? I think we as an environmental defender, as a human rights defender,
Mm-hmm.
is uh we can do I mean we can
Right.
being in this time of pandemic is this is our power to
Yeah.
fight back. So I think it's going to be a further achievement in the next 5 years.
Cool. So, you already mentioned about today is the power, and what is the opportunities that we can use to fight the climate crisis in the middle of the pandemic right now, and which for us mostly only spend our time by staying at home and not going to the street, and what we can do.
In our limitation for now, like
Mhm.
what we did in Seruni,
Yeah.
in for the last years back then,
Mm-hmm.
we holding many webinars just to encourage people and also the women to just still you can do it like what we did here in the countryside. Don't just stay at home. Just do it. Just do your activities like your daily activities,
Mm-hmm.
and then keep organized, and then educate the people, the masses. So what we can do amid this pandemic, we don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
If the government said stay at home, we don't stay at home. We still produce our food. Like we did also our economy production here.
Mm-hmm.
I also cultivate our land with the women's community here in the countryside. I also did the intellectual work, like what I did with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also educate the women's community. I also still have our study with the team, with the groups. Like I don't stop even in the pandemic. So if I can do this, you can do this also.
Mm-hmm.
So don't stop even even in the worst time. So we still building our solidarity among people to people, in the national level, in the regional level, and also in the global level, because we can reaching the we can win our struggle
Mm-hmm.
without the solidarity among people to people.
Cool, amazing. So we come to the last questions. Mungkin tadi kita sudah berbicara dengan bahasa Inggris ya, bahasa internasional. Sekarang balik lagi nih ke our mother tongue. Terakhir nih Kak, pesan dengan bahasa ibu kita, closing statement Kakak atau pesan Kakak kepada pendengar dari Green Radio Line. Mungkin yang pertama bisa perkenalkan diri dan juga sampaikan pesannya, please.
Oke. Pesan saya untuk utamanya generasi muda, karena generasi muda ini yang mobilitasnya paling tinggi, dia bisa kemana-mana dengan cepat begitu.
Mhm.
Makanya pesan saya terkhusus bagi anak-anak muda, terus belajar dan datang ke desa, lihat kenyataan objektif kaum tani kita, kemudian abdikan seluruh ilmu pengetahuan, kemampuan di jiwa dan raga ini untuk membebaskan kaum tani dari penindasan dan penghisapan. Karena kenapa harus kaum tani? Karena dia mayoritas populasi yang ada di Indonesia. 65% populasi Indonesia adalah kaum tani, sehingga kita sebagai intelektual, sebagai organizer ya, aktivis semacam ini, harus lebih dulu membebaskan kaum tani karena dia kelas yang mayoritas. Baru kemudian kita bicara tentang hak-hak demokratis sektoral kita sebagai perempuan, sebagai mahasiswa, sebagai pemuda, sebagai buruh migran, dan lain sebagainya. Karena tanpa membebaskan kaum tani terlebih dahulu, tidak akan ada perubahan apapun. Jadi apa kemudian hubungannya perjuangan di kota dan di desa adalah yang di kota menggaungkan problem-problem yang dihadapi oleh kaum tani di pedesaan, dan kemudian membantu kaum tani untuk membebaskan dirinya dari penindasan dan pengisapan. Jadi kaum muda sebagai intelektual belajar teori untuk kemudian disederhanakan, abdikan itu untuk kaum tani. Supaya apa? Tugasnya intelektual kan begitu ya, menyederhanakan, menyederhanakan secara bahasa. Teori-teori maju ya, sebagai panduan untuk dalam berpraktek, berjuang begitu, supaya mudah dipahami oleh kaum tani. Karena kita tahu kaum tani kita banyak sekali keterbatasannya. Itu kenapa intelektual muda saya undang untuk pergi ke desa, abdikan ilmumu, abdikan pengetahuan, kemampuanmu untuk membebaskan kaum tani kita.
Terima kasih banyak Kak Triana, it was a great message too. Terima kasih banyak sekali pengalaman dan juga sharing dan ilmu nih yang didapatkan tidak hanya bagi pendengar, saya juga terlebih. Terima kasih banyak untuk waktunya, stay healthy, keep the fight, and see you in the next interview, bye!
Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan Radio Era Baru, Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.